Yes, hello, welcome to another episode of the Top 4 podcast, VARguably the best football podcast
in the world.
Yeah, so Jack last week, Nath this week, Pash baby, get those acting skills ready. You get your lines. All you got to say is in the world. Yes, first Premier League weekend of the season, done and dusted. Interesting. I don't know how many times it's ever happened. Someone's going to know the stat. No draws. Mad. Normally when you're doing an ACCA, you're like, you can't do all the games because there's going to be at least one draw, but there wasn't any draws. But yeah, some shocks, some not so shocks, which we're going to briefly jump into. And we got to talk about, we talked last week about signings and who's going to win the league, and we all sort of agreed in a way who we thought was realistically gonna win the league, but Tottenham Hotspur, Man City, and they did it.
The Harry Kane team without Harry Kane beating City. What's that? Fifth time as well they beat them in the last couple of years without Harry Kane.
Yeah, I think since Pep said it's the Harry Kane team.
They've gone on and beat them 5 times without Harry Kane. Fucking brilliant.
I don't think Pep's actually won at their new stadium yet, and he's played them a few times there as well.
Yeah, because he lost there last season as well, didn't he?
Yeah, because Mourinho loved it.
Were you surprised that Kane was left out though? Because I think I was a little bit surprised.
I think with all the speculation going on, I can see him starting. I had him in my team for the fantasy, but hoping that he'd start, but I did have this gut feeling that he wouldn't.
I think that makes it almost. I just feel like he's going. I feel like, do you know what I mean? I feel like if that's what it is, then
there's no other reason why he wouldn't play, is there?
He has been named for, I think, the 25-man squad for wherever they're in now, like the Conference League. Yeah, so he has been named in that. But yeah, I saw it as he's gone. I think there's talk about Man City bidding 150 mil this week. They're just getting that ready. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's mad.
A lot of money these teams are throwing around at the moment. Like PSG, obviously, with the big salaries over there. Getting people on free. But yeah, Man City splashing 250 mil on 2 players. Crazy money.
That's going to be the norm, isn't it?
Yeah,
I didn't give Spurs a hope before the game. I was like, all this negativity around Kane, I thought they were going to get thrashed. And they, for the first 15 minutes, they did look like they were under pressure, didn't they?
Yeah.
Fair play. It just seemed they were just counter-attacking, Spurs were. And then once they had a couple of counter-attacks, they got a bit more confident. But I was looking at that. I know it was first game of the season, but I was looking at it thinking, Chelsea or United or something could absolutely smash City up if they played like that against them. Yeah. Obviously, I don't think they will. I remember last year, towards the start of the year, I think City got spanked like 5-2 by Leicester. So I think they're just a type of team that will take a while to kick into form. Obviously, I think most of them were at the Euros, weren't they?
Yeah.
So
I thought City were going to pump them as well, but until I saw the lineups, because they played exactly the same 11 they lost against Leicester in the Charity Shield, and obviously when like Nathan Ake, that the very well known Englishman, Tez, he's
how can it be the same starting 11 if Grealish started?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Yes, apart from Grealish.
Sorry, Karen.
Fact check. But he was the most dangerous player on the pitch for City, I thought, like by a long shot. Even in defeat, I thought he looked really, really good. But I don't think Nathan Ake should be in their starting 11 at all. But yeah, I was surprised. I mean, even playing in stand-up, and obviously Lucas Moura played a blinder as well. But so I didn't write him off, and especially after half time, I thought this, it was anyone's game for the taking, and fair play to Spurs. Like I can imagine Pep turning around to the owners of City and being like, mate, we need another 250 million if that's okay.
Yeah. I'd be surprised.
If they don't focus on the Prem so much this year, they might have a good chance of playing PSG. Battling out for the Champions League at least. But
you'd expect them to be in the final with each other, wouldn't you? With the money and the players they got.
Depends when the draw comes out now, and I hope they're in the same group. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, Lucas Moura is a weird one. He's either literally he's either literally one of the best players on the pitch, isn't he? Or he's just crap.
Yeah.
There's no between.
He wasn't really about last season, was he? Like, he didn't really stand out at all. Like, there was that semi-final from the year before in the Champions League where he did bits, and then kind of went missing for a while. And now, obviously, he, showed again what he can do yesterday. But I mean, if it means Kane leaving and Lucas is going to get more time with that Steven Bergwijn and Son in the middle, then I mean, that's not a bad front three, mind.
Especially after that performance, obviously against them, I think that's decent. To be fair, like all of them played out their skin. I think it's all down to obviously Harry Kane potentially leaving to go City. I think they just wanted to prove a point to say like fuck you to City. Try and buy like our star man, and it's like all the players played out their skin, and fair play to them, they got the result from it. There's good stuff for Nuno as well.
I remember Bergwijn missed he missed a sitter, didn't he, when he was 1v1, and I was like, oh no, that's it now. So you're gonna come back. Bergwijn, I don't rate him at all. He's so, from what I've seen, just sort of a nothing player. I remember United were linked to him, and I was gutted we didn't get him, but couldn't give a fuck now. Toxic.
A little bit off topic about the actual performance of the team. Like, since when did Dele Alli get dreads? That seemed like it came out of nowhere. That was a big shock to me when I was watching that game. I said, "Where the fuck did he come from?"
He's had them for ages.
Is he?
They just look really long now.
He's just not been on the pitch to show him off.
That's probably it then. Yeah,
I agree with you. I know you said off a podcast. I think this is his season now. If Kane goes and Son moves up, and he takes that number 10 role again, I really think could be his resurgence.
Well, it's make or break.
Yeah,
if it doesn't go this season, he's getting a move. They'll get rid of him, and who would want him? It's interesting.
Player.
But we'll see. I mean, I think obviously he was class for England, at least 3 years ago, and then 5 years ago as well. I know England didn't do well, but he was class for them, and he sort of come through from MK Dons out of nowhere. And now, like Alex Ferguson said recently, that he's really disappointed with how Ali's career has turned out, because I think he really rated him. Just really strange to see what's happened there, but because it wasn't just Mourinho didn't like him. He wasn't playing well under Poch, and then he didn't play well under Mourinho either. And he started last season's first game of the season. I didn't realise they showed the lineups from the last year, and he started for Mourinho. So he just didn't work for him. But hopefully it works for him now.
I think he's so overhyped. Obviously, he had that amazing season where he scored 20 league goals, didn't he? And he was sort of playing as like a false nine. But I think that was just Pochettino's tactics, and obviously he was having a great season. But he's obviously something to do with attitude, isn't it? Where he's just like thinks he's the boy or something like that. Maybe professionalism. Yeah. Maybe lets it down.
But one thing with City, just going back to the game, is like you look, and I don't want to just be copying a certain Sky Sports pundit, but when I watched this thing and I was like, it's true. We look at Nathan Ake and then Mendy. It's like that isn't solid. That isn't very solid. That's not like. No. Do you know what I mean? If you're talking about Man City or a Champions League team, that is not screaming. Do you know what I mean? Like Nathan.
Yeah, that's what I meant earlier. Like he's not a starting 11 City player. I don't think either.
Even Mendy as well. Do you know what I mean? Like you got. It's like,
I agree.
And then he paid 50 million for Mendy as well.
I know, but when you got they paid 50 mil for Nathan Ake.
Did they?
They got quite a bit, didn't they?
So you got Son. I think Bergwijn's a good player, but I suppose he hasn't really shown it. But when I've watched him on TV, I think he's exciting. But Ali and Lucas Moura, they're gonna, against Mendy and Ake. That's what I mean. It's interesting if they switch it around. They put Cancelo left back, and then they put Kyle Walker back at right back. Literally just copy and pasting what Gary Neville said yesterday. But for me, I think they will look a lot better.
Zinchenko's better than Mendy in my eyes.
Yeah. I thought that as well.
And he's now like left back, so I don't know. I totally agree. Absolutely. I mean, I would actually love for Kane to go and Spurs pull out a blinder.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love it when they go to the Etihad and Kane's in his City shirt and Spurs win. I think that'd be fucking class. I would.
Imagine Spurs going to win the league. Like that would just be unbelievable.
No.
Kane leaves and then they want to win the league. Like
I'm not jumping on that train this year, boys. I'm done with that. Yeah.
Like
Roma though, they'll win the Serie A.
Who did have a great game, man? I'm probably going to butcher his name. Was it Tan?
Tanganga.
Tanganga.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a good young player. But then when you look who's next to him, it was Eric Dyer and who's the other centre half? Sanchez. Yeah, I mean, when you look at that against the City forward as well, I'm surprised they kept a clean sheet, to be honest, because the City, the Spurs defense, just again on paper, seem a little bit dodgy. But
if they didn't concede against City, I know City haven't got forward at the moment, but if they keep, maybe Nuno's been working hard in summer. Maybe they might have sorted it out, and they've got.
He's got a good defensive manager, to be fair to him.
I don't
know. What was his defense?
I have a feeling we've seen this sort of at the start of last season. I think City are just one of those teams where, like I said, they take a few games to get into routine, and if they're not at it, it just looks like they're passing about quite a lot of the time. Sort of like what you used to see Barcelona do when they weren't quite at it, where it's just pointless passing. But like maybe 5 games in or so, you really see that it's refined and that a lot more sort of, I can't forget the word.
Yeah, because
a lot more direct. Sorry, but they still seem they're like crying out for a striker, don't they?
Yeah, well, I feel bad for Jesus, to be honest, because he's a backup striker at a club that's strikerless. So I feel really bad for him. But last season, remember the first 8 games they got 12 points. So I reckon, like, again, even when you get to that stage of the season where you're like, almost a quarter or third into it, if they go on a run like they did, it's still.
Yeah, and it's interesting though because the other teams look like they've strengthened. United look good, strengthened. Chelsea looked good really at the end of last season, and now they've strengthened again. But with City, I remember it was like January, February, they had like such an easy run of games, and it was like this is when they're going to catch up because you can't rely on the other teams to do that. But this season, I do think that like against the lower ranked teams, I feel like your United, your Chelsea's, they're going to have the odds split up, but it's not going to be like it was last season where like it happened. It was like, do you know what I mean? You just could not guarantee that United were going to beat some of the teams going down. But now I feel like it's more, obviously, first game of the season. I'm not just basing it off yesterday's result, but I feel like City can't drop back as far as they did. So it will be interesting. They can't, they've lost one in the first game. I think they don't want to be losing like a second game very soon. Do you know what I mean? Because then the pressure will be on.
Thanks for listening to VARguably, the best football podcast. Now, don't forget to follow us and like us on all social media platforms to keep up to date with the latest